All right, we both just saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Really great ending to this trilogy, in my opinion. Felicity, what are your initial thoughts?
I really liked it. I thought it fit in well with the other movies. I think DC. I'm sorry, definitely cut that out. I think that I think that Disney got a win with this one, even though it's not looking like it's doing that great in the box office, which is unfortunate. And I think there's some reasons why this is happening.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I feel like they gave each character time to shine. Obviously, it was more of a Rocket movie, but everyone kind of went through their arc. The box office is a little bit iffy so far. It's kind of in the middle. So I'm interested to see in the following weekends what the drop off is and what that looks like overall. But in terms of content, the quality, I thought that it was there. It was really great. Um, let's start with some of the good things, the things that we enjoyed. We can go into some of our criticisms later, but let's start on this positivity train. What did you like most about this?
I've got to say, the villain was pretty villainous. A lot of people have been criticizing MCU villains for the longest time because they've just been so kind of milk toast and just not a real villain. But this guy, the High Evolutionary, was a real villain. You really hated him.
Yeah, it was a villain that's not redeemable, and that's refreshing to see. He's just a bad guy, and that's fine, and that's fun. In the third act, he was just kind of screaming, and I was like, okay, you got a lot of emotions, but I thought it was, yeah, pretty well done. I agree. I think that all of the performances in this movie were really great. Even like the voice acting for Rocket, I thought that there was so much emotion in all of these characters, especially after these actors having been with these characters for so long. I feel like I saw the culmination of their acting ability and just them as a cast coming together as a family, which we love. So yeah, I feel like this was a really great way to end off this trilogy. Obviously, we might see these people pop up in other places in the MCU here and there, but that remains to be seen. Also, we should mention we probably will have spoilers in this review, so spoiler warning. Hopefully, you have seen this movie. One of the other things that stood out to me was the action. It was so fun. That long hallway scene where they were just fighting, that just left me in shock. That was so well done. I really appreciated the action and fight scenes in this. What did you think, Felicity?
I definitely love the action. What I really loved about the film was just like the little moments, between different characters, that just showed that they cared about each other. I mean, you mentioned the whole family aspect of this. This is the third movie, and I would probably say this is maybe the best trilogy that Disney has done in the MCU. What do you think?
Yeah, you might be onto something there. I can't think of another trilogy that I would put above this one. I think that they have three solid films. I don't know what I would rank each of them. I think for me, the second film in this would be the lowest. I'm gonna have to rewatch the first Guardians to see what I would rank it against the finale. But overall, a really great story, and everything in this kind of built upon each other. And you mentioned the little moments. One of the first thing that came to mind for me is when Rocket, they learn that he's okay, and Nebula, like she just cries and exclaims that she's so happy that Rocket's okay, and it's like, what? Why? And then I realized that they were both together for 5 years, and that's the only people that they had. So that's a relationship that I didn't even know existed. But it was just so interesting to see that little moment of her being so relieved. So yeah, a lot of these just sweet little moments that were just intertwined throughout this story that I really appreciated for sure.
Yeah, I definitely like when the movie first started, like very first started.
Mhm.
They got me from the get go. That intro with Rocket singing "Creep," I loved it. I know that there's a lot of people out there that were like, "Oh, you could have used a different song," and yes, that's true. And you know what the song is about. Being all stalkery and shit, but but I liked it. James Gunn really does know how to incorporate music
Mhm.
into his productions. So I think that that's one of the things I definitely appreciate about his style. and I hope that that carries over to DC when he starts, making stuff over there. I just overall, I thought the film was a good time. I mean, we'll get to some other things that we have to say in the negative lane, but I'll leave it right there for now.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I think overall, just walking out of this movie, I was just satisfied. It was just a satisfied MCU feeling that I've been missing. I was like, whoa, I'm walking out of this not disappointed, which is a contrast to a lot of the recent MCU movies that we've been getting. So it was just a good feeling to walk out of the theater and be like, whoa, I really enjoyed most of that. It made me laugh. I did cry. I did tear up a little bit. I genuinely connected with the characters in the story, and that was really important. So overall, really positive. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. And Felicity, what's your rating?
I give it an 8 out of 10. I'm actually going to try to go and see it again in the theaters this weekend. I think it's worthy of repeat business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you want to move on to I had a few issues. They didn't detract from my overall enjoyment, but they were things that I noticed. The main gripe that I have, I this might be controversial. I don't know, but no one died.
Okay, you know what? I agree with you because I did think that was a downside. I remember going into this film thinking, "Oh, Rocket's gonna die, Drax is gonna die." At least I thought that those were things were gonna
Exactly.
happen, and no, everybody ended up being, okay. Which, hey, that's a big complaint that people have with MCU movies these days is that there's no stakes. So if everybody's just okay at the end, sometimes you have to question a little bit, the journey because there was plenty of hitting us in the heartstrings, plucking on the heartstrings in the movie, enough that. I guess maybe people will maybe overlook the fact that everybody made it.
Yeah, everyone went out okay, and I think that that might be so that the MCU can use those characters in the future in different capacities. But it really did detract from the stakes for me. The fact that everyone was okay, yeah, that's great. But I would have been sad, but I think that I would have enjoyed the movie more if Rocket or Drax had actually passed. That would have added a weight to the story. There would have been real consequences to this whole adventure that we've been on. And while I am glad with where they ended up, Drax got his whole father arc and he's returning to kind of what they foreshadowed a little bit in other movies. And, Rocket's leading the Guardians, super cool for them, but I don't need that. I think that this movie would have had more emotional weight if someone was gone. And I think that's also because I walked in expecting that, those two characters specifically, but also just from the trailer and everything, that's what they made us believe. This movie did pull on the heartstrings. It was darker, but everyone was okay in the end. And maybe that's because this is a Disney family movie. But I did notice it, and it did leave an impact on me. But as I said, it didn't detract from my overall enjoyment of the film. I was just like, all right, they want to keep these characters around. I get it, whatever.
Yeah, you did touch on something just a little bit there. This was a darker movie,
Mm-hmm.
and not one that I think is probably made for kids necessarily. Because of the aspects of Rocket's past. The animal cruelty stuff is probably going to hit some people the real bad way to where they're going to hate this film or not going to watch the film. I've seen plenty of James Gunn's work to know that he does pretty well with the darker aspects of humanity and showing that stuff on film. But I don't know if we needed to go this dark in this film. I wonder if maybe they could have benefited from taking those parts of Rocket's past and maybe just putting it into a different thing, like maybe something like a short or another like special like they did with the Christmas special. I think the movie would have worked better for the majority of people if that stuff wasn't so front and center.
Yeah, you definitely have a point there. There were a few moments that I did have to look away. It was too graphic, and I was just like, I don't want to see that. And that's not what you expect walking into this movie at all. So definitely might rub some people the wrong way. You also hit on before this movie came out. I had mentioned that they're going to have to balance the dark and the humor because that signature MCU, also James Gunn humor, that was intertwined with the darkness. How do you feel like they handle that balance?
The humor and the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is definitely the right crew to do it with, the Guardians. This I wouldn't say that this humor within this Guardians movie is the same exact type of humor that most people complain about in the MCU, or maybe it just works better for me. I'm not sure. If which one is the case, but I do want to mention one thing that I thought was probably a little bit of a downer, and that is the introduction of Adam Warlock.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't really think that that worked as well as James Gunn thought it was going to be. He felt a little bit out of place. Obviously, he was like more of the useful idiot in this. He felt like shoved in to this movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It felt like he was in this movie more out of obligation because they teased it in volume 2 more than an actual need to be in the story. I don't think that he added very much. Will Poulter did fine. It's not the actor's fault. I think that there just wasn't much for him to do. It was an interesting arc for him to start as the bad guy and then eventually just be like, yeah, we kind of forgot about you. You're fine. It didn't really add to the story, in my opinion. Didn't need to be there, but I think it was more out of obligation. So that was also one of the negatives for me. I definitely agree on that one.
It was also a little bit too long for me. And that's not I don't if I'm enjoying a movie, if I start thinking about how much time I've been watching it, that's a bad sign. So I think that this movie probably could have benefited from maybe like 20, maybe even 25, 30 minutes cut out of it. And maybe if they had taken the Adam Warlock stuff out, then that would have sufficed.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. You bring up all of the points that I have that I didn't enjoy. So I think we're on the same page here, but I did feel the length. I still enjoyed the movie, but it felt like a lot. There were two different quests of finding Rocket's file, and then we had the big boss fight at the end. There was a lot going on in a lot of different places, a lot of different adventures, and I don't know that they needed it all. I think that the main story could have been accomplished with, like you said, I think 20-25 minutes cut off would have done it justice. Yeah, those are all of my main gripes. You actually hit on them for me. So other than that, I thought it was pretty positive, but those few things did kind of shift my opinion a little bit.
Yeah, the last thing I will say is that I think that what we were able to see, which like we've said, we both most enjoyed, uh, is a result of real world stuff that was happening. James Gunn got fired for a time from Disney. And I think when he came back and now he's moving on to greener pastures, hopefully, with DC, he realized this is the last time I'm going to be able to revisit these characters. So I'm just going to throw everything into this movie. I think that that's what we got.
You might have a point there for sure. He gave it his all, and I'm excited to see what he does in DC. But I feel like this was a good finale, both to the Guardians and to Gunn's run at Marvel.
I agree.
Well, that was our review, our positives and the negatives, our take on the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. We'd love to have a conversation, see if you agree with our thoughts. If you thought there were any other positives or negatives, please let us know. And yeah, thanks for watching.